Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it! Now let's do this!
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Naggy. I'm here once again with my ever so charming co-host, Mr. Liam McNeil. But Jousters, we have a very special musical guest for you this week. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the Joust stage, Mr. Rasher Bacon.
That ain't playing, that's the way you do it. Watching Round 4 on the old TV. That ain't playing, that's the way you do it. Ladder climbing ain't nothing, 2 points for free.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. It is a very, very special time, Liam, that we can climb the ladder off the bottom. Used to be when we were on the bottom. We could climb the ladder, be off the bottom, thanks to the gift 2 points of the buy.
That's it. A lot of newer fans, a lot of newer Knights fans, newer Joust fans even, who are fresh on the scene.
Yep.
They don't remember when, getting the 2 points for the buy was a monumental achievement for the Newcastle Knights and actually took us up off the bottom.
Off the bottom.
So I think we need to really impress upon, I guess, your newer listeners, your newer fans of rugby league, just what a joy it is to not have to watch a team struggle for 2 points. You don't have to watch a team yearn for 2 points.
Which seemed like for decades, For so long it felt like we were just, they're stapled on the bottom.
Like you hear some people, Naggy, they say, good work, hard work is good. We like working hard. It brings value. I don't like that at all. I like things to come easy, and I don't want to have to actually exert myself to get the results that I want. And so I'm a huge fan of the buy and getting 2 points from it. I think it's great. There are the naysayers that will say you didn't play, you shouldn't get any points.
No.
And to them I say, my laziness vastly outweighs my appreciation of hard work.
Football Christmas sort of rings to mind because you don't need to do anything and then gifts that is given to you. You haven't earned them, you haven't worked for them, they're simply presented to you. It's something that you want.
It's a matter of course, really.
Yeah, it's just there.
It just is. It's something that just is, really, yeah.
But there's also on Christmas and special gifts and whatnot, and also a time to come together with other people. It's a very a nice time for me to mention that there is a new member of the Joust family. Now, Liam, we're men. Somewhat men.
Debatable. We're not men.
We're not men. We are men, but we're not
two men, but we're not the two
men. That's right. So when we're in our house and something breaks down, and this might be a white good because no one knows how those things work. You use them every day.
I shed a tear. As soon as something breaks in the house, I say, "That's it. Everything's over. I'm moving into the forest."
Washing machines, refrigeration, air conditioners, all the same. It's all it is. It's mechanics of something that we can't use. Our hands are useless. We simply look at it, press the button, maybe press the button again, and we can't make it work. But luckily, there is a new member of the Joust family.
Is this a man?
It is a man.
Do we have a man on board?
This the appliance guy here that works all over the Newcastle, Lake Macquarie area, that is now officially part of the Joust family, and we welcome him to make us not quite men again. Now, it's also quite scary, Liam, to phone up someone to say, "Can you please come and fix this for me, please?"
You feel a sense of inadequacy, don't you?
Oh,
I'm not
gosh.
a man.
I'm
useless here.
Can you come and tell me how to be a man? But luckily, Kate Chesworth has jumped onto the Knights family, as well as the Joust family, as the appliance guy for all your white goods, needs of refrigeration, air conditioning, appliances, repair, maintenance, installation, all of it with a professional touch.
A professional and fully qualified man.
Prompt and reliable, and that's what I want. So give him a call. Every Jouster out there, I know you might be having something that's maybe the appliance is making a click, and you think, "Oh, this is that click is ticking down to when it stops working."
They're all motherboards now.
Yeah.
Your washing machine, it's got a microchip. Your microwave, it's got Bluetooth. It's all microboards. It's all computers.
It's all computer.
It was like why it was fun in the early days of the Russo-Ukrainian war.
Yes.
All the Russians were looting washing machines because they'd had their microprocessor supply cut off from the West.
Right.
So they were just looting washing machines and sending them back home.
They're so important. You don't realise how much importance they are until they're gone or not working.
It was like when I first moved into the old house in Wickham. Remember the old house in Wickham?
Oh, yes.
We were young, we were carefree, we were broke, and I thought, I don't need a shower curtain. Had a shower, really, really needed a shower curtain. I didn't know until I knew.
Until you knew, until it wasn't there anymore. For me, when I was house sharing, some might say, if you were using English, our washing machine to stop working because it was one that you turn the dial and you pulled it out.
Oh yeah. That was before microprocessors. Didn't have a chip.
To start the whole process. One day, it pulled out, stopped working. So what I just tried it 1,000 times until maybe it started working.
Did you then just start showering in your clothes to wash them as you wash yourself?
There was an idea. Maybe I should have done that. I don't know. I think I went to the laundry sink and just sort of sloshed it around.
I think that's the same reasoning that a friend of the Joust had when he tried to justify not cleaning the shower by saying it cleans itself as you clean yourself. It's soap everywhere. There's shampoo all over everything. It's clean. It's self-cleaning.
What are you going to do? Clean the towels next? No, they clean themselves.
Because you're clean when you wipe yourself with the towel.
Of course, yeah.
You're not dirtying it.
No. If anything, it's getting cleaner. It's a better towel than it was before the shower.
We're lucky men that our wives stayed with us all these lovely years.
They're actual real humans and sane people. Liam, so much has happened in the last week that we haven't been on the show, so we must catch up with all of that nonsense in the segment we like to call the news. Thank you, Russia. Now, Liam, the most important Newcastle Knights bit of news is coming. It's a bit of a sad farewell,
It is a sad farewell. It's bittersweet, I suppose. Will Price, maybe won't price.
Won't price. Yeah. Price appropriately, maybe.
Has he priced himself out of the Newcastle market? Can we get some more puns out of this, do you think?
I don't know.
All right, I wanted to get him out of the way early. I had to get him out of my system.
The price was wrong.
Bitch.
Now, I really liked the signing of Will Price. He seemed like someone that over there in the Super League was making all the right moves. He was there in the centre, fullback, 5'8", and we thought we like the cut of his jib.
We did. It was a great jib. Again, cut well.
Yeah, over there.
Don't know what a jib is, but I liked it.
Over there at Huddersfield, where the rugby league was born. It came from the birthplace of rugby league, and we thought, this is quite potentially going to be a really good signing. Didn't work out that way, only managing 5 games of first grade. Spent a lot of the time there in New South Wales Cup.
Got a lot of games in the New South Wales Cup. Do you know how many it was, Naggy? Because I sure don't. But it was more than 5.
More than 5.
Maybe less than 100. I don't know.
And he started the season pretty well. 1 second. We've got Will on the phone. Hello.
Yeah, mate. I'm just letting you know that the cut of jib is originating from the nautical practice of identifying ships by the shape of their sails, specifically the jib.
The jib sail. Thank you very much. Maritime.
Do you like boats, Naggy?
I do.
I like planes.
Yeah. You're either a plane, train, or boatman.
I'm a plane man.
I do.
I'm learning to appreciate trains more. That was my brain rots into a wet cake.
They're much more grounded than planes, actually.
I got to ride the new train the other day. Have you guys seen the new trains that they got out these days?
Oh, the one, the Northern Rail.
They just pumped it out. Yeah, it's a new for the, I guess, the Sydney. It's the fancy Sydney trains. Comfortable, a smooth ride, quiet, very, very good.
But the seats don't change.
No, they don't. But they're more of an individual seat, so you feel like you've got your own seat. I loved it. I had a great time. It was an enjoyable commute.
Like you're in economy plus, maybe. Yeah,
absolutely.
Phone charger as well.
Didn't check. I had a nap.
Oh,
it was great. It was a good nap.
So comfortable that it nodded you off. When you look back on Will Price's time with the Newcastle Knights, it seemed like there was a lot of potential there.
Won't take long.
There was
I think our segment so far has already been longer than his Knights career, in fact.
There was that moment where he was playing at home against Parramatta, scoring that try off Daniel Saifidi offload, and did the calm down sort of. Everyone,
I think it's from the basketball, maybe.
Is that the basketball hush?
Maybe a LeBron James.
Yeah, the Punisher, whoever you call it.
The Punisher, yeah.
Not to be confused
Thomas
with
Jane.
The Punisher, yeah.
Oh, LeBron James, Thomas James.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's got like the Punisher or some shit.
There you go. Okay. Well, but he's a young man who held such promise. But I mean, for a young Englishman, I think we should have seen this coming. You know, he's basically just had a gap year.
Yeah.
You know, the English love to do. They finish high school before university. They come
all the way across the world.
Now he took the advice of the Australian Tourism Bureau, if such a bureau exists,
maybe
that has Englishmen avoiding Bondi Beach.
Okay, I think
the wisest thing an Englishman can do is avoid Bondi Beach.
I think you're going to say avoiding paid work. So he came over here, had a bit of a holiday, played some games in New South Wales Cup, but we won't hold it.
I don't blame him.
It's a wonderful competition.
Yeah. But he was homesick for the moors of Northern England, I suppose.
The rain, you see. He said, I'm missing the rain season.
And it's always fun to see sort of, rugby league is hardly an international game, but we'll go on on to it in a sec. But it's always fun to see the stark differences between rugby league in different parts of the world. You'll note there that on his Wikipedia page, one of his positions he played is listed as standoff. Naggy, do you know what a standoff is?
It's when you don't stand in.
Exactly.
You're slightly adjacent.
And it's definitely not a sit-off
No, you're standing, you are, but you're not in.
For those that don't know, that's what the English, people we don't like, call a 5/8.
5/8. Yeah. We have a much better name for it being two numbers and a TH.
Yep.
And no one really knows why it's there.
Oh, I know. I do know this. Obviously you've got your forwards.
Yeah.
And then if you look in the context of the field, you've got your forwards.
Yes.
And you've got your full back. Are we in the shot? Now you have it halfway in between. You've got your half back.
I see.
And then you've got the center 3/4 in between the half and the full.
Right.
And so in between the 3/4 and the half, you have 5/8.
I've got you. So it's gone mathematical.
It's mathematical, something which rugby league fans, us included, are not particularly good at. So it was maybe not the right thing to call. It's like when you listen to Kiwis talk about rugby union, and they refer to the inside centre, of course, as the second 5/8.
Second 5/8.
Which I think is great. So anyway, there we go.
So
a little bit of rugby league history.
More fractions, I say. Every position should be a fraction.
Have you used fractions since you finished school?
Well, not correctly. I certainly used them. I think that the signing of Dylan Brown next year was sort of even though he was not going to be re-signed, it was sort of saying, look, we're probably not going to sign you.
Yeah.
We probably don't have any money. He's priced out of the market. Very good, Bob. Thank you very much. There you go. It was a bit of a sad departure in some respects because we thought, potential, but I think in many years that have led up to this point, the Newcastle Knights have spent too much time holding on to potential, expensive potential, and then that potential has never come to fruition.
But I think it's obviously, again, as you mentioned, became obvious with the Dylan Brown signing because Adam O'Brien will have no more and no less than 7 halves in this top 30. And I think it was only, it was an inevitability when they signed Brown. They're like, hang on, that puts us one over the quota. We've got to get rid of one of them.
Yeah, we got to stick with a tight 7.
We've got to get rid of the gap year.
So we wish Will Price all the best over there in Hull. I'm sure he's going to have a wonderful time. He'll probably get the probably have a golden boot over there. Like that's how the Super League is.
Yeah, but remember, of course, when it was such big signings, the Dom Young and the Will Price coming over, and they didn't really pan out either, did they?
Well, Dom Young because he left us. He left us there at the altar.
What? Dickhead.
Yeah. He's gone to the fancy boys over there, the Roosters. But if we're talking about England and we're talking about Australia, and we can't go past what they're bringing back this year is the Ashes. Now, the Ashes has always been associated with cricket, Liam, but apparently,
not always.
Apparently, it was also rugby league. What are they burn, Liam? What's the trophy? What's in there?
I think it's purely a marketing thing.
Clive Churchill's dead skull. Is that maybe?
Well, no, it predates him by about 50 years. So I don't think it's Clive. It's definitely something.
It's got to be something. It can't be Ashes. It has to be Ashes.
But a bit of a tie back to the previous story. Leon Price, Will Price's dad, I believe, was a bit of an Ashes legend.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's in there. He's in the trophy. Cut off 3 of his fingers and burn them.
It's just generation after generation of Prices getting put into the trophy. But I think this is wonderful. Now,
we say sorry, Will.
Apologies, Will.
So into the furnace you go.
Shouldn't have left the Knights, mate. Should never have left the Knights. But I think, Naggy, this is part of a greater trend that we're seeing over the last few years, which is the return of international rugby league. Because for those who are younger, who are new to the show, obviously new to the Joust, maybe new to rugby league.
Yes.
Rugby league used to be an international game.
It
Not quite
was.
to the level of other, international sports. But it used to be a thing that rugby league was played outside Australia and little bits of New Zealand.
The tour. It used to tour over in England and play lots of games.
You had the Kangaroo Tour, you had the Ashes Tour. You had all these wonderful sort of cross-hemisphere rivalries that you built.
And it was always at the end of the season as well, so you had something to look forward to. And I remember back in 2004, 2005, back when I was very much excited for any rugby league, you'd see the whole Kangaroos team go over there, and they'd play against England. They might have a warm-up game against France. It'd be 92-0. It'd be wonderful to watch. And then they would play
some inconsequential, amateur side through the week.
Oh, yeah.
Still pissed.
Still pissed. They would kick the shit out of them, and it'd be wonderful television. There was also, it was so didn't have the origin feel of sort of bruteness. It was more wildly. There was just fingers in the eyes and thumbs up the butt and everything there against the rules. There was no spirit of the game.
There was no spirit of the game. But of course, you got to remember rugby league in England. Of course, it's the working men, it's the miners, it's the coal miners, it's the tin miners.
Are they rich like the Australian miners?
Oh, Maggie Thatcher put paid to that. No, sir, they're not rich like the Australian miners.
Yeah.
But now the other thing about the Ashes though, Naggy, and the Kangaroo Tour, they held such esteem back when they were quite a prominent thing because it was such a novelty because we didn't know the players. You know, you had these mythological players coming across. You've got, some great names like Kevin Sinfield, Leon Price.
Yes.
Leon Price. James Roby, if I recall. There were these great...
Rob Burrow, the late great Rob Burrow.
There were these great British rugby league games, but because you couldn't watch the Super League, like they had this aura to them. And so to see the Ashes, you're like, these are these people who I've only heard of.
Yes.
Maybe there's a paragraph about them in Rugby League Week once a year. And
the start of Sam Burgess's career when he put that great hit on Fui Mamoy.
Yeah. Was that the Ashes?
I don't know. It was a game over
rugby
there.
league.
Yeah, it was rugby league.
It was rugby league.
But it was exciting because you weren't really sure what you were coming up against. Yeah. Obviously now, but most of them are part-time garbos. They throw the football around occasionally.
Well, that's it. I think it's safe to say the shine has come off the Super League in the last 20 years. Like the Ashes had such gravitas, it had such importance that teams got names.
Yes.
Teams earned a moniker from these Ashes tours. If we go back just a moment and look, if we'd done any research or if we were smarter at rugby league, we'd know some of the players in these sides. Of course, you've got the great Invincibles. We got those on the screen. The Unbeatables, of course. And the Undefeatables. All of them, of
Wally
course.
Lewis obviously
Peter
heading
Sterling.
that up. Is the Unbeatables. They're 1986 there with...
the Invincibles in 82, the Unbeatables in 86. Like, these tours were so revered that simply winning every game on the tour was seen as this monumental feat.
And a big piss up, let's be frank. They're all drunk when they go over there.
There's a story, I think it was from the Ashes, where Wally Lewis bought the cheapest shit car that he could find just to drive around while he was on either the Ashes or the Kangaroo Tour. Yeah. And the rest of the team lifted the car up and deposited it in a canal.
Yes, that's what you do over there.
And that's what you do on footy tours. Do you ever miss footy tours?
A little bit.
I love
there's the
going
bus,
footy
you
tours.
see. But then there's the nausea on the bus because everyone's handing around the drinks, and then you finally get there and you get off the bus, nausea again. The songs, Liam, the songs you sing about vomiting, it's wonderful.
We went on a footy tour to the Pacific Islands one year, and we were staying at this little resort.
Any particular
Tonga.
Islands? Or
Samoa and Tonga. We were staying in this little resort in Tonga, which was just a series of farleys spread across a field. And of course, we had a bonfire. And of course, being 15-year-olds, everyone had 2 cans of Lynx Africa, so we just chucked them all in the fire.
Boom.
We were the only people there.
You can't do that anymore.
No, and there was these 2 young bartenders who didn't speak English who just kept feeding us Jack Daniels all night.
Now, Liam, speaking about the Kangaroo Tour and the prestige of the Australian jersey, which keeps being repeated again and again
and you know who didn't like that? The previous rugby league administrations. They said, we don't want international rugby league. We want rugby league to be in Australia, a little strip of New Zealand, and England can play if they want. We do not care. International rugby league's back.
They say, why do these Australian people that have heritage over in Samoa or PNG or Tonga, why are they going back and want to play for their country? They should want to play for Australia. No, Australia's shit. We haven't seen it in 20 years. I don't know who these people are. They've even gotten rid of the Anzac test. Now, the Anzac test used to be a bit of fun.
That is one of the greatest travesties ever to happen to Australian and New Zealand society, Australian and New Zealand brotherhood. We used to love them. We used to think they were great. And then they cancelled the Ashes and we said, the Anzac test.
It was nowhere near Anzac Day.
I don't know if I like them.
It was about 4 weeks out. No one cared. We still said yes. Anzac, Australia, New Zealand. And that was a test.
The best of friends.
On home soil, playing against friends that you sort of knew. But that was something that they just ripped away from us. And they said, but you still like Australian international rugby league. We've never seen it. It's gone. We have a state of origin.
The prestige of the Kangaroos jersey was ground into dust. It was eroded. It was spat on. It was used as toilet paper by previous rugby league administrations. But it's back.
It's been flushed.
It has.
It's back again, like something you can't flush. It just keeps coming back.
They chucked some Omo in the wash with it. It's brighter than ever. But I think that leads into, of course, our next piece of the news now. This is something, obviously, that a lot of rugby league fans, and you always see it on Facebook now. I know you love the Facebook comment section on rugby league. I try to avoid it. There's a large subsection of the Australian society who can't seem to grasp that a person can love 2 things.
2 things, yeah.
So the great example here, of course, Australian star Payne Haas on the cusp of bombshell defection to Samoa. Yeah. I was putting the news segment together on April Fool's Day.
Maybe
if this is true or not,
no,
I don't know.
True,
but,
it is true. Yeah,
but I think it brings up a very good discussion point. These people, this subsection of Australian society, they say, you can't love 2 things.
Whingers.
You're one thing or you're the other, and there is no in between.
None.
get out, back on the boat, you're going home.
Have you
a person can love two things.
Yeah.
Payne Haas can be a proud Australian man, a proud Samoan man. He's also got Filipino heritage, and I think Danish heritage.
Well, look at Tony Carroll.
Tony Carroll. 4 proud things.
Warners
Bay.
Tony Carroll played for New Zealand, then Australia, then Queensland. I don't think he's from any of those places. He's from a third place.
Brad Thorne famously played for Australia and New Zealand, then back to Australia, then back to New Zealand. I celebrate it. I think it's great.
They're still on the field. And let them wear whatever shirt they want.
As a proud dual citizen, I wear my Canadian heritage on my sleeve. That's half of me.
Yeah.
My Australians, I've got 2 sleeves.
Yeah,
I can wear a heart on each sleeve.
Yeah, maybe one of the bum cheek. You got 2 cheeks.
I did think it was a bit ambitious when I moved to Canada, thinking I could probably make the rugby league team without even training. They never called me, but I would have worn that with pride.
Yeah, that's
2
right.
sleeves, I can wear 2 hearts on them.
Well, yeah, that Peterson bloke that ended up playing for the the American time. We had a Philadelphia test in 2005. Peterson, the guy had an afro, played for Parramatta. Matt Peterson.
Oh, right.
And he had
big guy with the afro.
Big guy. He had like.
South, isn't he? Like a...
Yeah, he's still around, but he had like an American uncle or something like that, like twice
I was thinking of Matthew Bell.
Twice removed. Anyway, so this bloke was there. He was the only NRL player in that Philadelphia side to play against the Australians on the NFL field, and they ended up winning at half time. And then Australia came back. They
pulled their thumb out of their bum.
Pulled the thumb of the bum, and then they ended up winning. Except Willie Mason completely did his ankle, was out for most of 2005.
Well, I think Anthony Seibold, you'll find, actually played a few tests for Germany in the rugby league. I think something like that. Then you've got, of course, South's great Ian Rubin, played for Russia in a World Cup a few years ago.
Poor guy.
I know.
Jack Johns.
It was terrible. Jack Johns, famously Italian.
Yeah.
He's not from here, apparently. But yeah, I think it's great to see rugby league's back, and I think that if England were better at rugby league, like they were 30 years ago,
we could have a
the
game of
Ashes
hands.
would be great.
Yeah,
it's going to be a whitewash, but who gives a shit? It's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
After the NRL season, I can't wait to watch it. Liam, talking about
more
someone,
footy all the time.
Talking about
never let the footy finish. Constant, never-ending footy is what we want.
Talking about someone leapfrogging over the Tasman every time they have a hot dinner. We've got there Dylan Walker, famously playing for...
A dickhead?
Dickhead, playing for the Dickheads, the Manly Dickheads. He was over there and he got absolutely... was it sucker punch? He was punched looking at the man by Curtis Scott.
Oh, then,
sucker.
And then you egged him on and then said, "Why don't you hit me?" He hit him and then said, "I wish you didn't hit me."
And I think to Dylan Brown, and I think to Dylan's credit, he did come out afterwards and said, "I did say you should hit me," and he hit me. So fair play. He didn't even say whoops. He was like, "Yeah, fair play. You got me." It was a good punch too.
He went over there as sort of like he did play Origin off the bench at one stage, Dylan Walker as well.
Yeah, that was a Bob Fulton Manly pick. I think he played 7 minutes or so.
Yeah,
it was because you remember you had. The Bob Fulton Manly picks were Dylan. Which Dylan is he? Walker. Off the bench, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
James Buray, 7 minutes off the bench. And there would have been 2 or 3 more that Bob Fulton Bozo would just pull his Manly boys in and say, "I'll give you the jersey, boys. Just don't lose the game." I don't think any of them did, but still, what a shit stain on the history of New South Wales Rugby League.
So he went from the heights of State of Origin. He had a bit of I think it was another drunken episode where
there was the incident after the South's premiership where him and I think Aaron Gray perhaps did too many sleeping pills, got pissed and he dropped his ring in the harbour.
I think they took pain medication and
I think it was Stilnox.
Was it Stilnox?
And
energy drinks as well.
Yeah.
The one thing they say don't do, and they said this would be great, and then they had to call an ambulance for them both.
Rhodes Scholar, Dylan Brown.
So after
Dylan. There's too many Dylans. We need to have a one Dylan rule in rugby league.
So he went over there. He said, "I'm going to hide my sins in the personal demon."
Because of course he did commit a number of crimes.
At the Chamber of Personal Demons over there in New Zealand. He said, "I'm going to hide away from there." And he said, "I'm ready to come back to Australia. Everyone's forgotten." But now I'm a proper bench player. I'm a 14. And he said, "Who's the shittest club in Australia?" And they said, "Parramatta." He said, "Sign me."
I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely.
He said, "They got so much bad news going at the moment. No one's even going to realise that I've signed for them."
I said, any crimes he commits will just get lost in the muck.
Yeah. Do you think he can make any difference to Parramatta?
No.
Yeah, right. But speaking about players that make a difference, Liam.
Known English international. He might make the Bloody Ashes tour at the end of the year if he hasn't been forced into into retirement since then.
He'll be bloody maybe
Until
on the inside of the skull. Of course, we're talking about Victor Radley, the man made up most...
The inflicted upon.
Yeah, beers and more beers. But at the moment, he's spending days and more days under an MRI machine because his brain has copped it time and time again. Sometimes he's passing his HIAs, but I believe he's writing down the answers on the back of his hand just to be able to say, yes, it's a Friday night. Yes, this is the Prime Minister's name. And yes, it's 26 degrees. Please let me back on. But really, he's lost consciousness more times than I can count.
See, now the problem with the HIA test, and I assume the NRL do the same HIA test that Wanderers third grade did in 2012.
Yep.
It's the same 5 words every time. It was elbow, apple, carpet, something, bubble.
Well,
and if you get 4 right...
Yeah.
You're set. And so if you get 4 HIAs in a season, even though you get hit in the head, you're still going to remember 4 out of the 5.
Saddle.
So it got to the point.
Saddle is
elbow, apple, carpet, saddle, bubble. There you go. So and I've had a dozen concussions. And I can still remember it.
They just said, give us the
every
5,
time. No, they'd say, here's 5 words,
Yeah.
and then they do like follow my finger, touch you on the nose, kiss on the forehead. Do you remember the 5 words? And you have to repeat the 5 words back to them.
Yeah.
And so after your 3rd concussion, you're like, I do it. Ironically enough, I do remember the words.
We've had a lot of them.
We've had a lot of them. Yeah. But another great example of that, Naggy, I was listening to Julian Edelman, former New England Patriot National Football League player. They had a similar system whereby because he was playing wide receiver, I think, if his other wide receiver would get absolutely smashed in the head and would show signs of concussion, a teammate would run over and go, it's Tuesday afternoon, we're in Philadelphia, we're up by 10, we're playing the Jets or whomever. And so you get up and you're dazed and the ref would go, where are you? Oh, we're in Philadelphia. I think we're playing the Jets. We're up by about 4. It's a Tuesday. And then just brush it off. Which isn't that the most noble thing you can do to a teammate?
Cheat to keep him on the field.
He's concussed, his brain's mush, but you cheat to keep him on the field.
Keep him on the field. That's within the spirit of the game. There was a clip that I can never find. I think it was in around 1998 of Paul Harrigan getting completely knocked out.
Spud Carroll with the infamous off the kickoff one. Is that the one?
Another time when everyone thought Chief might retire, and then I think he retired not long after this, and they...
So they were right.
I believe he was playing against Cronulla, and they were asking, he stood up and they said, where are you, Chief? And he just said, I don't know. I don't know. And then I believe David Peach is there going, he doesn't know. And then they took him off, and I don't think he played much longer. God bless Paul Harrigan. I love that man. But
I was playing in Mayfield East once, and one of my teammates got knocked out, and they went over to do the concussion. Actually, it was my dad did the concussion test for some reason. He goes, Paul, do you know where we are? His answer was just football. He just said football.
Not wrong.
I was like, all right, Paul, we're out of here. Let's go to the hospital.
He's jailbroke the answers.
He was right.
Yeah. Where are you? I am football. That's right.
We are all football, Naggy.
We're all football.
But is it time maybe that Victor... Because is that his 5th HIA... This year, that can't be right.
This week,
it's only He's had plenty of them. But the other thing as well, and you often see this whenever he gets suspended for poor tackle technique, they say, "Oh, he shouldn't change the way he plays.
No.
He shouldn't change his game.
He should.
He absolutely should.
Definitely should.
It's pretty simple. Just change the way you tackle, and you won't get hit in the head all the time." But they say, "No, he shouldn't change the way he plays. He demonstrably should.
Tackling backwards, maybe with your
backwards.
bum,
just
with your arms out. Yeah, just trip.
Just trip people. Not in the spirit of the game. Also illegal. But you don't get hit in the head."
I think, Liam, this leads perfectly on to something that's been quite close to my heart for a while.
Regarding
the noggins is my crackdown of the NRL crackdown, and that's this week.
Naggy wants a crackdown.
And that's the crackdown of the... Thank you.
The crackdown shoe is on the other crackdown foot this week.
Thank you, Rasha. Yeah. There is been come out and said, the NRL wants to really crack down on the high tackles in rugby league, and they do this about every 6 weeks.
Look, we obviously wield an immense amount of influence in the game. Course, do you think that Misters Volandis and Abdo listened last week, and what they took from it is that we need to really nail down and define what is and is not in the spirit of the game?
I think so.
Because this really strikes me as a spirit of the game defining moment.
There's been at times, I think it was in 2020, when we had Magic Round up there when the Knights played the Tigers.
What was the crackdown that time?
The high tackles. They just decided that anyone that would a stiff breeze against the chin or up would decide that you're going to be 10 minutes on the field. That some games will be
finishing.
Join us
next week, our musical guest, chin or up.
There would just be games finishing with 9 versus 11. It was ridiculous. Everything was just being binned, and then everything stopped. This season was like, hang on a second, they're just adjudicating the game consistently? No, but then there's less bins. Now, Len, the reason that this is my crackdown, I have an issue with that, is that they desperately want to stop what they call direct contact with the head.
It's not in the spirit of the game.
It's not in the spirit
of the
game.
But I think we agreed that it isn't within the spirit of the game because Kai Pearce-Paul did it and it was sick. I think that was our conclusion.
My problem with direct contact with the head is that your whole body is attached to itself and doesn't move. Your shoulders are attached to your spine, and then the hips, and again with the spine, and whatnot. And you make contact with anything like that, and it stays still. But your head is on a pivot, and it just rolls forward. So direct contact with the collarbone, which is legal, forces the head to fly forward and then hit the shoulder. So it's direct contact with the shoulder on the chin. The chin should be penalised.
You're saying the punishment should be on the head contact the person whose head contacts the shoulder. They should bear the brunt of the punishment. Is that what you're saying, Naggy?
Or everyone should be wearing neck braces so your neck and head can't move. So Brent Tate, bring back the surfboard, but bring it to the front as well. So the front and back surfboard.
I've always said a good rigid neck is important to every rugby league player.
So like a Batman costume.
The Batman costume, the 1989 Keaton Batman. Everyone should be wearing a Batman suit when they run out there, because if you make contact with the collarbone there, the head can't fly
There's
forward.
No pivot. You need to eliminate the pivot.
We've got to get it out of the game.
That's the problem, is the pivot.
It's driving me crazy. I can't stand it, because you see genuine tackles, head flies forward. They say, oh, that's made direct contact with the head. It's indirect. Well, it's semi-direct.
So an interesting thing, Naggy, I know not many people, not only just listeners and watchers of the show, I know not many people just in society watch rugby union anymore, but I've been watching a lot of it recently. So rugby union, their high tackle laws have gone so far that head-on-head contact, your noggin on an opposition noggin, that counts as high contact. If you make like a level chest-to-chest tackle, no part of your body contacts the head, but your head hits the head, yellow card, and while you're off, they adjudicate it, can be upgraded to a red card.
Good Lord.
And so I think what they're trying to do, and what obviously Nagy's crackdown wants people to do, is improve tackle technique. And all the years when they bring in these crackdowns, they say, oh, we have to stop players hitting each other on the head. How do we do it? More penalties. Should we teach them to tackle differently?
No.
Shut up.
Absolutely not.
It's a problem.
The sin bin is
it's a problem where they're putting a Band-Aid on. They're just saying, we'll penalise people for doing it. Are you going to try and fix it in the way the game is run, not just officiated, in the way, in the fabric of the game? No, shut up. And then, again, it'll be another crackdown where they do it for a couple of months. We all forget about it. And then in 4 years, they trot it out again and say, what a great idea.
4 weeks.
This is wonderful. We're saving lives.
They forget about it.
They think they're bloody Doctors Without Borders, Medicine Sans Frontières.
I say bring in the Keaton bat suit to stop the pivot.
Agreed.
To make sure that
that's what they need to get rid of the game. The pivot.
The pivot of the neck. Please make the neck rigid, and we can have a bloody good game on our hands. We can stop all these adjudicators, all these administrators getting their grubby little fingers involved, ruining rugby league. Grubby little fingers.
Is there do you know, Naggy, I'm in the health industry, I should know this.
Yes.
Is there an operation one can get to fuse one's vertebrae together?
I think so. I think it's probably been done.
If not, we should look into it.
We should look into it.
Because, again, we want to address the root cause. We can't just slap a Band-Aid on this and say, look, we're giving penalties now and sin bins now. The game's fixed. We've solved everything.
It's like the fixed camera, the fixed speed camera. Like, you get fined weeks later. You've already done the crime. It's already done. It's not going to fix the crimes. No, you have to fix it where it starts, at the neck. Liam, we're going to take a halftime break, and we're going to come back and talk about everything Newcastle Knights rugby league against the Canterbury Bulldogs. But to play us out for halftime, Mr. Russia Bacon.
Tackle higher and higher at the face of death. Tackle higher and higher once that it cries. Now I wanna beat a dog. It's been a while since I beat a dog. This weekend I'm gonna meet a dog, and then I'm gonna beat a dog. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Wonderful. And just
Iggy Pop's still alive, Naggy?
Barely. Well, he's just alive with mainly amphetamines and, I don't know, whatever strings holding each one of his limbs up. He gets out there and he still moves around. But he looks like a corpse, but not like our very own Russia Bacon over there, who doesn't want to beat a dog literally, Liam. He wants to figuratively beat a dog of the team that we're playing this week.
Well, I mean, you don't want to speak for him, of course.
Maybe he wants to beat it.
We don't want to speak for Mr. Rashid.
He's an aggressive man. But, Liam, we do have the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. They throw
the berries.
The Bankstown back in there.
Berries.
Used to be just the Bulldogs, then it was the Canterbury
Bulldogs.
Yeah,
no, with the Sydney Bulldogs. Because remember, it was around season 95 where they rebranded all the teams. There was the Sydney Roosters, there was the Sydney Bulldogs, and there was the Sydney Tigers.
And they had all the faces of the thing. It was like the Tigers.
They sort of cartoonified.
Everything was like that. We're the Panthers. We're the Bulldogs.
Wasn't great.
No.
Wasn't great.
They said, let's pan out a bit. Let's say, we're the Panthers. We're the Bulldogs. Like, it was a little bit more friendly.
And then the Knights, we'll just flip it.
Like the B-Boys.
Who do you think was the first sports team named after an animal, Naggy?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always liked, Liam, the fact that, we would go... Like, if you look at the AFL, for example, so bird heavy. There would be like, the magpies and the crows and the swans. And then someone's like, I'm going to be the demons. Everyone's like, what? You can do that? You can just go the demons?
There's a couple of funny ones off the top of my noggin. In the early days of the Major League Baseball in the US, there was a team, I think they were called the Detroit Spiders.
Yeah.
There was briefly an NHL hockey expansion team called the California Golden Seals. That was a pretty good one, I thought.
I'd love to be a seal. That'd be great.
A golden seal especially. Yeah. Although you think you'd sink.
Yeah, you could.
Gold's pretty heavy, as far as I know. I've never held real gold.
Well, we're also talking very, boisterously about team names picks and where the supporting the.
Is that Anne Hathaway there under the visor? It sure looks like Anne Hathaway, doesn't it? What a gorgeous woman.
She's got a chin that could possibly be a
gorgeous woman.
It could be.
Or Liv Tyler's, like Anne Hathaway and Liv Tyler.
Strong chin, strong jaws. Yeah. And of course, with the Newcastle Knights, which is just a man in a suit of armour, which is going up against everything from an eel to a dragon. And this week, we're going up against the Bulldog. You think it'd be a pretty easy test. They just walk up to and give it a kick because a bulldog sounds mean, but really it's only half a foot tall.
Well, they're so inbred as well, from generations and generations of inbreed. They can't even breathe.
They can't breathe. No. You just have to walk
One of man's greatest hubrises was cloning bulldogs the way that they are these days.
Dogs in itself is a bit of like man playing God, because look at the two that I've mixed, and I've got a labradoodle and a bullshit. Like,
obviously we always talk about man wants to play God. Do you think God ever wants to play man?
No, it's not that great.
You think from time to time God's like, I'd love to know what a skinned knee feels like.
I love what
he's just up there in his ivory tower in the clouds. He's like, what's a cramp? I've never had a cramp. It sounds great.
He goes, what's crippling depression feel like? I don't know. All these people seem to be staying in bed most of the day. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to stay in bed. Write your Saturday off, I say.
Yeah.
That's why they have the Super Saturday.
That's why he rested on the seventh day. Because he was lazy, good for nothing.
And he was watching the 3 games. Now, of course, Liam, we're not part of the 3 games. We've so much of this season we've been bookend at the front. We were on the Thursday and the Friday and the graveyard at the 6 p.m. of the Friday, and it's great because you finish your week, you go, great, the football's on, my team's playing, a couple of wins, great, you go in with a lot of emotion, a lot of positive emotion right into the back of the weekend. This one we have to fucking wait, watch all the games. You watch the 4 o'clock Sunday game and you go
tense the whole time. I can't enjoy this weekend. I'm not having a good time.
Jesus. And everyone's saying, oh, bloody, no, when the Knights play, you go, next week apparently. You have to wait. And then 6:15, by the time the game ends, you're
ready for bed.
You're in the clutches of
time
Monday.
For bed. I've got work the next day.
Yeah,
I'm not happy by then.
Monday's got you by the testicles. And if you come into a loss, everyone's going to talk about, hey, did you watch the game last night? Yes, I did. It was shit.
Of course I did. I hated it. It was terrible.
The Bulldogs have had such a mixed past with us. Obviously, in 2023, we flogged them twice.
2 times.
2 times.
Count them. 1, 2.
100
by
points.
A bunch.
100 points we put on them over the 2 games, and then they only scored 6 against us. And 106, there's a big difference.
I think it was 106 to 6 was the differential, wasn't it?
I think it was 100 points.
It was 100 to
6. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and then last year they said we don't really like that. Let's put 32 and 36 points on you respectively.
And the 32-2, I think, and again I bring this up every week because that's the worst loss I think the Knights have ever had. You go up 2-0, great, we're in for an okay night here. Concede 32 unanswered. Oh God, what a bad night.
Yeah,
what a bad night. That's worse than losing to 0.
It did feel like worse than losing to 0 because it looked like at one stage we had a bit of hope. then
a little bit. But again, it's the hope that kills us now.
The Bulldogs it seems like a team that has gone through a lot of changes. Of the Newcastle Knights have gone through changes as well, but it's difficult to pinpoint where we're both at in this season. Newcastle Knights 2 wins, 1 loss.
I think it's easy to pinpoint where the Bulldogs are at this season.
Going great.
They're really good. I think that's pretty simple, actually. Top of the table, Naggy. In fact, and I think they're off the back of a 4-game winning streak. So that's a pretty easy one to pick. The Knights, however, much more a state of flux. I think it'd be
panic,
safe to say.
Stress, maybe, I don't know. It will certainly be a game that if the Knights can beat the Bulldogs here, we put ourselves back into that echelon, thinking that, hang on a second, we might actually be in with a shot here. If we fold and falter and collapse, and then there's a 30-plus points put on us, I think we will start thinking, hang on a second, 2025 might not shape out the way we had hoped.
And I think, Naggy, we want to start, before we talk about the wonderful things that the Newcastle Knights team has to offer here, by some concerns I have about this Bulldogs team, Naggy, things that worry me, things that have kept me up at night since I saw this game when it was announced on the scheduling for the NRL season.
Is one of those things Marcelo Montoya?
No.
Marcelo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die.
No.
Prepare to die.
He's not a concern of mine.
He's
pretty good.
It's an odd name for a fellow. It seems like that from the film.
Is he Chilean, do you think?
Oh, we've got a Chilean boy ourselves. This is cultural round. Maybe both of them can grip arms and exchange.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
Who's a Chilean on the Newcastle?
Matt Croker. Matt Croker is a Chilean boy. Yeah.
But now, the reason I wanted to bring up the good things about the Bulldogs is because we need to assess them honestly and not to say the Knights are going to trample all over them. Yeah. When I look to their centre pairing, I worry, Naggy. I'm concerned. Stephen Crichton so far has proved to be maybe one of the best signings of the modern NRL era.
Yeah.
He's, slipped right into that captaincy role and has become the heart and soul of that team. And Bronson Xerri, for a man who's been 4 years out of the game before last year due to drugs, he's really having an amazing... would he be Cinderella's story?
Yeah, possibly.
I haven't watched Cinderella in a while.
Depends on how that movie ends. I don't know. Does it end happy, anyone? Does it...
Slippers? The slipper.
Oh, you're talking about the
Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe.
Cinderella Man, the Cinderella. Anyway.
Oh, Cinderella Man.
Either
also
or.
Slippers.
Also slippers.
Also pumpkins.
Yeah, pumpkins, slippers, Cinderella Man, Russell Crowe. Yeah. It's all the same. Yeah. But I think that's a definite area of concern, the centre pairing there.
Bronson, Sweet Caroline, I call him. Yeah.
What? I don't get it.
Oh, cherry,
baby.
I don't know songs. I really need to learn more songs.
So they seem to be a cast of bit actors, character actors, if you will. Like, the main stars aren't necessarily there, especially this week.
Especially with your Burtons out, your Kickows out. But the other concern with obviously Kickow out is their second row. Josh Curran is one of the best effort players. Plays outside the spirit of the game. Josh Bible. Plays outside the spirit of the game, as we know, but still is pretty good at that. Jacob Preston, I think when you look at New South Wales eligible second rowers of the second tier, he's definitely in the second tier of very good second rowers.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they've got a lot of second tier players that they've made work and be competitive against top 14.
And we were, when they signed all these second tier players and these endless stream of utilities, your Blake Toffs, your Drew Hutchisons, your Kurt Manns, your Connor Tracy's, your Jamin Salmons, we said, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
We said, what are they doing? And you know what they said to us?
We're doing it.
5 rounds in, we're top of the NRL table, and we look like idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots we look like.
For so long, they feel like they had to shore up their front row. They kept talking about...
They haven't
done that. They just keep playing with back rowers in the front row. Just how do they do it? They're at the top of the table now.
They got a bloke on the bench called Harry Hayes. Who's that?
That's AI, for sure. I'm not sure if he exists.
No. Of course, the ghost of Christmas past, Kurt Mann.
Hurt man. He's there. He's not too injured, which is good to see a former Knight playing well. Hopefully not playing well against us.
No.
And, of course, when he left, we were looking at the Brayley Crossland. Fingers Crossland, I think is. Thank you, Joshua Balico. And that at the time he was pushed out. He was pushed out, and so good to see him find another club, play good football. Just hopefully he has a terrible game against us. We also have a return of Jermaine McEwen, as we know,
Sad Eye
Squarehead, which is. Which is coming back into the side. But it's also important to note this is also a rematch. You've seen Rocky 2.
I have.
You have, yeah. Which is the rematch against Apollo Creed. But we've got our very own Rocky 2 with Jack Hetherington coming up against Reed
Marnie.
I kept wanting to say Mahoney. That's my problem with reading things
You're
phonetically.
thinking of Police Academy.
Yeah, that's right. Mahoney's
in Police Academy, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, these two, of course, got into a bit of a scuff on the field and then went I was going to say backstage, not a theatre show. It is actually a game of football. Went back there, and then there was still a bit of a push and shove. Jack Etherington couldn't get enough of it.
He was having a smile. Look at the smile on Jack Etherington's face. That's the smile of a little schoolboy who's just discovered that he likes women.
I think there should be either, for Jack Etherington, the Red Mist himself, he should either absolutely deck him or not do anything at all. There's
and he did
no in-between.
He went the in-between. It was terrible. But Naggy, now we've got to talk about the starting forward pack for the Newcastle Knights. Obviously, injuries have cruelled our forward pack. Dylan Lucas obviously being out. Another front rower, I think, also is out. No, Safidi's back, isn't he?
Safidi's back, yeah. and Thompson's back. But we are missing Dylan Lucas and KPP, the man with the very, very long forearms. And
the lengthy man.
The lengthy man. We've got no length and we've got no talent there in the back row. But we have someone that is almost as good as maybe one day will be as good, and that's Thomas Kant.
Tom does.
Yeah, Tom does. Maybe Boyer, sure, hope he can with his effort last week, which was probably just way too many things he did last week with 18 runs, 56 tackles, missing only 2.
A lot. That's good.
For a
He's
guy
a good boy.
Fighting into that first grade spot, it's just too much. Tom, just bring it down a notch. Do what you need to do, but please. You're making everyone else look silly. You look at everyone else. Someone only made 90 metres. Someone only made 10 tackles. Please.
That's far worse than his numbers. Where do you see the Knights winning at Naggy?
If they're going to be able to win this game against the Bulldogs, Liam, we have to make sure that we are patient. We need to get it.
Patience is a virtue, as the Bible states.
That's right, they do. The Josh Quran, I think, states it. They need to be able to do some.
Yes,
they need to be able to get into a contest. They need to take the shine off the ball, I say, and say, hang on a second, Bulldogs, they're really going to have to work for it. We get into a grind, then we start throwing the ball around.
Because, if you look at that, that forward pack that the Knights have compared to that forward pack that the Bulldogs have, on paper, it's very safe to say the Knights have the stronger of the two packs.
Yes.
Would you say that? Because I would, and I did, in
fact. It's published now.
But they're grafters. The Bulldogs are grafters. They get in, they grind, they graft, they yuck it up with you.
Yeah.
They get down in the dirt and the mud, rustle around to find some truffles.
Bradman Best has an incredibly...
their truffles are in mud, aren't they?
Bradman Best has scored 7 tries in his last 7 outings against the Bulldogs.
What a wonderful statistic.
Might have been front-loaded with those games where he just kept scoring lots and lots of tries.
True.
However, I'm also liking what I like. I'm liking what I like and what I see from James Schiller. I think we can.
He's been a fantastic acquisition so far.
I think he's doing everything.
Slipping into a back five that we talked about at the end of last year might have been one of the best in the comp. Schiller's slipped in seamlessly.
A lot of pressure on the principal of school of the Unremarkable Boys, Jack Cogger, needs to really step up. I think anything from Cogger should be do less. Not try to make the game-winning play.
I would just tell him to give the ball to Fletcher Sharp so he can chip and chase every time. He'll score 7 tries.
And of course, we've got the man at the back everyone loves, cares about Caleb Ponga, and hopefully that he can weave his magic. Hopefully not do too much. Just do enough. Inject yourself when needed, Caleb. You don't need to touch the ball the whole time. So we're sitting at 8th, Liam. Thanks for that gift of the 2 points, the beautiful gift of the free 2 points of the bye.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. There, and we've elevated ourselves to 8th position. Now, another win here. We're all of a sudden in this conversation. This later is all over the shop.
Well, that's it. In 8th spot, we're already doing better than we did last season when I believe we weren't in the top 8 until the very last round after the last game of the last round. So already we're having a more successful year than last year.
The very, very skin of the teeth we made it in. And but if we look now, the Panthers have a lot of work to do winning one game.
Now, okay, I said this to Gavin, dear friend of the show, Gavin Morton, the other day after the Panthers lost to some insignificant team. For the Panthers, so they've got what 24 regular.
No, that was Melbourne.
That was Melbourne. They lost to someone else. But anyway,
they lost to the Rabbitohs last week.
Yeah, Rabbitohs. So the Panthers will play 24 regular season games. Is that correct?
About that, yeah.
They'll play 2 finals games before the grand final.
Of course, yeah.
That's pretty much just 26 trial games.
That's all they need to do.
They've got 26 trial games before they're in the grand final against who gives a shit.
Yeah.
So I think to look at them in 13th and to say, they're in trouble is to, I think, just be stupid.
Be stupid.
Yeah,
don't be
it's
stupid,
done.
everyone. I think looking down there, obviously the Roosters, which we predicted was going to be very bad. The Dolphins are still looking for a win. The Eels are still looking for a win. We're there comfortably with 2 wins and a bye, pumping us up the ladder.
Yes.
We just need another one to say, hey, NRL, we're just as good as the rest of them.
We're the real deal.
Yeah, if the Knights win, although you might get a bit of oh, well, the Bulldogs actually aren't that good anyway because they've lost to the Knights.
Except
we're the curse, Liam. If we win, the team is shit. If we lose, the team is on the way up.
We're taking the mantle of the Titans, would you say? Oh, we just lost against the Titans. It doesn't matter. Or, oh, you beat the Titans. Oh, it doesn't matter. Is that what the Knights are becoming, Nagy?
It is.
Nothing more than a speed bump on a team's tear to a premiership?
I think so. Unfortunately.
Oh, come on.
That's disheartening.
Look, I really hope the Newcastle Knights can come up and shock the world and beat the Bulldogs and bring them down a few pegs, bring them down a few rungs on the ladder. Rungs on the ladder. And I said runs initially.
I hate to have the runs on a ladder.
On the runs on the ladder is the worst thing you could possibly do. It's the worst place for the runs.
Because if you're operating safely, you've got someone
down below.
The ladder.
Yeah, looking up. And you get the runs. It's very scary up there. Boom. Liam, it's going to be very important for the Newcastle Knights to win this game against the Bulldogs. And boy, I hope they do. Do you want a score prediction?
Newcastle Knights win the game 22 points to 18 points.
I love that. I love and adore it. I don't think that'll happen.
That's okay.
I think unfortunately, I have a deep fear within me, and I hope I'm wrong, Liam. I'm wrong often. Every day I'm wrong, and I really hope I'm wrong this time. I think the Bulldogs might put on a bit of a score.
A dissenting opinion, that's good. When two men are in a room and two men agree in a room, that's a bad room to be in. I think it's a great room to be in. I enjoy agreeing with you.
If you would like to join us to be back in the room, and also join the new member of our family, the Appliance Guy, please give him a call. If you've got
real
any
man,
white goods,
unlike
a real
us.
man, proper man.
For all those men like us out there who aren't men, call the real man, the Appliance Guy.
The Appliance Guy. He has tools and hands and skills. We don't have none of those things. But please give Kate Chesworth a call. Chesworth. A call there for all your white goods and appliance needs. Mobile number is on the screen there. And thank you very much for being part of that family. But Liam, if you'd like to join us next week, you can join us on all these social pipes on this screen right now, including Facebook, Instagram, Apple Tunes, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud. If any of you are still hanging on to SoundCloud, clinging on dear life, much like the Newcastle Knights, clinging on, hopefully, when it comes around 5, it's only early. But we'll be coming through and hopefully talking about a great win against the Bulldogs. Looking forwards, not backwards, not forwards. Twirling, always twirling. Thank you very much for joining me, Liam. But to play us out, our musical guest for this week, please welcome once again, Mr. Russia Bacon. Thank you, boys. That was wonderful.
Tremendous.